When you are presented with that Quick Start, you have a variety of options. The Quick Start facilitates fast and easy map creation, as well as accessing maps that have already been created. So I'm going to use the Quick Start to open a map or workspace, and then click OK. I will then browse to my Maptitude directory and the location that has the file that I want to open. So in this File Open dialog box that we have, I'm going to change the Files of Type dropdown to MapPoint Map File. When I do that, I am able to see my MapPoint file and click Open. Maptitude scans that MapPoint file and displays the contents of the file in the Import MapPoint dialog box. So that scanning is going on right now in the background. And as that is happening, so in my dialog, this particular file does have numerous different data points. So I'm going to go ahead and click OK. And identify a file that Maptitude will save or convert these MapPoint files into. So after I have created that file and click Select Folder, Maptitude begins importing the MapPoint data. There were 4 layers there, so there is a bit of a cycle for all of this to go to get it into the map. So once that cycling has occurred, then we'll go ahead and get a map that opens up. So Maptitude has created my map with my 3 point layers. The 4th layer was my territory layer, and that is why I have this import result here, that there were 3-point databases, and in the territory table, then Maptitude automatically goes into the territory wizard so that I'm able to translate that territory file from MapPoint into Maptitude. So I'm simply going to choose Next here. And I am presented with some match fields. So Maptitude has automatically detected the zip code layer as being the one in my original MapPoint file. I can then select my field that contains the territories and the zip codes. Maptitude's already done that for me correctly, so there's nothing much here for me to do. Territory wizard, when I click the Next button, is where I do have the opportunity to add tracking fields. And tracking fields can be added by clicking the plus sign and selecting either Add Geography Layer Fields, Import Territory Table Fields, or Import Fields from a file. So I'm going to go ahead and choose to import fields from a file. And I have some market data that I have also collected. So I'm going to select that file and then click Open. Maptitude asks me to choose the Excel sheet. There's only one, so I simply click OK. And then the geography field is chosen for me automatically. So again, I'm going to click OK. This shows me the data in my file, and I'm just going to highlight all of those fields and click OK so that they can be added to the territories that I'm importing from MapPoint. Once I have done that, I'll click Finish and provide a file name for the territories I'm importing, and then click Save. Maptitude uses those definitions from MapPoint and that other market data that I'm attaching with that performance information to the territory boundaries, and that gets added to my map that had the imported MapPoint data. So I now have a Maptitude representation of all 4 of those layers which originally resided in MapPoint. You'll see that Maptitude has a territory manager which has opened up. There are a lot of windows in Maptitude which may be unfamiliar to you. Those are described in depth in the Maptitude Basics webinar that's offered quite frequently, as well as a second webinar coming to Maptitude after using MapPoint. So for additional background information, I recommend that you attend one of those webinars or view a previously recorded one. So using this territory manager, I know that I want to clean up some of these regions. If I look at my sales region A, I can see there are a bunch of holes because there are zip codes that did not exist in MapPoint that are in Maptitude, and I need to assign those holes. So I'm going to go ahead and select the territory that I want to make changes to. That's my region A. And I'm only going to select empty areas. And I think I want to do this kind of quickly, so I'm going to choose county. And then with my select by pointing, I can click on those holes and quickly fill in any of those counties that contain unassigned zip codes. So it's a nice, fast way to fill in those holes. Once I've selected everything I want to add, I can click the Save Territory Changes button, and Maptitude updates those territory boundaries. It does look like I might have missed a couple of little spots, so I'm going to have to continue working to clean up these territories a little bit more. So you can see how easy that is to update and continue on until those territories are satisfactory and meet what the real situation is. So as I look at this map, I can see that I have point layers representing a variety of different big box stores, BJ's Wholesale Club, Costco, and Sam's Club. So what I want to do is I want to differentiate on the Sam's Club stores the different types of stores. And I'm going to start, I'm just going to move this territory manager a little bit out of the way so we can see better. And I'm going to just for simplification purposes hide the Sam's Club and the Costco layers so that I only see BJ's on the map. Having done that, I will right click on that BJ's layer and make it the working layer. So the working layer in any map is the layer that you're interacting with directly. So just like when you read a book, you're only reading one chapter at a time. In Maptitude, you're only making adjustments to one layer at a time. So now that I have made BJ's my working layer, I will locate the color theme Create a Map wizard at the top of the Maptitude window. And when I click on that, it opens up the color theme dialog box. I want to show the differences between the various BJ's types of locations. So from that field list, I will choose the type field. Because this is a character field, Maptitude will show me a different color for each unique value. So when I click on the Styles tab, I can see those unique values. And I can see that there are actually some editing differences between these. So I have an extra space after the BJ's for a bunch of the no gases that doesn't appear in some of the no gases. And then also here I can see in my not opened, I have opened capitalized in one and not in another. So Maptitude is really good at helping to identify differences in data that you may not have realized exist. So it's a nice way to help you kind of inspect and clean that data up. I'm just going to ignore those deficiencies at this point in favor of displaying the data in different colors. So I have used that next button to get some different colors that I think will stand out a little more. And when I click OK, Maptitude applies those colors to the map. And so I can now see for the BJ's locations what kind of location each one is. So they're displayed in different colors. I can actually make them stand out a little bit more by finding this Map Layers link at the top of the screen. And then in this Layers dialog, finding BJ's and moving it down so it's the last layer in the list. That's going to make it stand out a little bit more. So those points stand out more than they did before. So I like this. This is great. I can see these locations. And my next part of thinking about this is if I want the ability to turn different types of locations on and off. Color themes simply color a feature according to the underlying data and those unique values. And it works very well for that purpose. But there are other tools in Maptitude that will let us not only color features, but hide and show them so that I'm only looking at certain sets. So let's take a look at that next variation that is a little bit beyond the color theme. That's called selecting. And selecting are like queries or filters in other programs. I can use that select by theme option under the selection menu to actually convert that theme into selections. It's not going to make my map look any different right away. However, on my layer in the display manager on the left side of the screen, when I expand sets, there were no sets before and there are now. So even though that's not terribly shocking or illuminating, if I use my selection toolbox, which I'm just going to pull out here so you can see it a little better, this is where those sets are displayed as in that dropdown. So if I choose this BJ's No Gas, I now can restrict the view so that only the selected features show. So if I click on this button, all of those other selections are hidden from the map. And if I click it again, they come back on. So it's a nice way to quickly filter your data. Again, I could do the same for another class. If I did this for gas, then I'm only seeing those features for BJ's, which are areas that serve, that sell gas. So far we have imported our 4 layers from MapPoint, 3 of which were points. 1 was territories. We've converted those territories and done some editing as well as adding some additional data. And we've learned how to filter on different types of locations within a layer. I now want to add a streets and trips file to my map. And I am going to do that. I'm just going to move this selection toolbox out of the way. I'm going to do that by locating the map menu at the top of the screen and choosing Add Data to a Map. Actually, let's just go to the File Open menu is really where I want to be. And I'm going to choose here that Streets and Trips file. So I will find that in this list as Microsoft Streets and Trips. And then my Streets and Trips file is displayed. So when I click Open, Maptitude scans through that file. And I'm not quite sure what's going on here with that. So let's just hold on one moment. Whatever was opening in the background has finished. So here is my dialog again to import MapPoint data. And I do want to use each of these. So I'm going to click OK in order to import That's streets and trips data. I'm also going to create a folder name again and select that folder. So Maptitude brings these waypoints in, and I'm now ready to route on those waypoints. I will do that by opening up the routing toolbox and using that layer I just imported as my waypoints on the map. So this is the routing and directions manager. I will choose the add locations based on a selection set tool and my route waypoints. I do have an order by field that I will use and a name field. So when I click OK, Maptitude adds all of those steps to the route, and I can simply get directions. The directions appear both in that routing toolbox, and I can also create a PDF that is printable and can be shared with other people. So once that is created, that will open up for me automatically. So I can see my overall route and then each of the stops with turn-by-turn directions.